Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Nation News. Happy Friday. It wouldn't be a Friday if we didn't have another Nick Viall story. We've got a feud brewing. Johnny is not backing down. I have to imagine deleted by either him or by Nick, a comment on Nick's Instagram that said, "I appreciate you speaking for me, Nick. Glad y'all got your facts straight." Me thinks that's sarcasm. The act of sarcasm is always well placed on a good Instagram comment, and then deleted, which is good because it's like he knows it's going to be out there, but then he's like, all right, I'm just going to post it, delete it, going to see my way out. Johnny's looks like he's ran out of tea to drink there in his photo. So we're going to get into this story right now. Very interesting. Trust me, I'm going to read a few comment threads for you guys, and also some other former contestants, alumni, that are feuding with Nick. This isn't a hate Nick channel. I think what Nick does is he's got a very successful little bachelor empire that he's got. He bought $1 million plus home based on it. So the guy's doing something right, but the collateral damage is that there are going to be people that feel like the story's not exactly being told. So we made every video here, from Victoria and Greg talking about how Rome changed everything. Victoria admitted that she initiated the relationship with Greg. She reached out to Greg after the thing with Johnny ended. And then, of course, some are saying, well, did she reach out to Greg before it ended? Which is going to be very pertinent to this timeline. Johnny deleted his Instagram response before. But wait, you're going to have to stick around for this. Johnny raps on his Instagram stories. I'm not kidding. Call me biased. I think he actually does a really good job. There are different niches in the Bachelor world. We've got Jason Tartick talking finance. We've got Tayshia Adams taking PPP loan. I'm kidding. We've got all these different niches. Ari's got a niche. She's stealing money from the government, then voting for, the government to take away, funds for. Okay. The point being, I'll always bring politics into things. The point being here is that Johnny's niche within the Bachelor world might be rapping recaps. We'll get into that in a second. So Zachary Reality comments on Nick's page here. Ball washing. I'm kidding, Zach. We're all friends. He said, this was a very candid interview. Nick asked all the right questions, and Victoria and Greg were both very vulnerable. So then Nick responded with, thanks, bro. And then someone said, I don't know, Zach. She came off very gaslighty. Now, here's what's funny. Here's Nick's response, which, of course, I'm known to clap back at an audience member or two. Nick says, if you want to be set in your take, that's fine. But maybe don't accuse people of abuse by misusing words you don't seem to understand. And I can't necessarily disagree with Nick there. Was it gaslighty? I don't know. Nick asked questions. Maybe there are questions he could have followed up on. Nick mentioned he had a bias. The bias shows when you get into the comment section, which is totally fine. But, Nick responding, which we're going to see here in the comment section, to people that might not have watched the interview. It's like, let the interview speak for itself. You did the interview. It's 90 minutes long. Let it speak for itself. Those are the people you're not going to really win with. But I get it. He's drumming up traffic. I totally understand. Speaking of traffic, guys, my channel has received 2 million views this month, which is wild. But here's the crazy part. 1.3 million of those views come from people who aren't subscribed. That's insane, folks. I need you guys to be subscribed. It helps me get extra perks from YouTube. I get the silver play button when we hit 1,000 subs, 100,000 subs, all these other things. I need you guys to subscribe. So much to the point, 1.3 million people not subscribed. I was like, I Googled what countries have 1.3 million population. And guess what? That's the whole country or countries of Trinidad and Tobago. Now you might say, oh, just Tobago? No, Trinidad and Tobago. That many people watched my content this month that weren't subscribed. So here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to give my next video only to subscribers. The next video is going to discuss Susie Evans sort of taking a dig at Nick Viall and why she wouldn't go on his podcast because she doesn't think he's given some people a fair shot. So that's going to be my next video just for subscribers. If you're watching on your TV or another account, double check, make sure you're subscribed or you ain't getting it. All right. So speaking of people fighting back against the narrative, we just made this video about Rachel Recchia a few weeks ago, taking to the comment section, ripping Nick. Now we see Johnny doing it. Hold tight on the Johnny content. Check this out if you don't remember it.
I thought we were done for the day. I had packed up my recap station, and then a brawl spilled out into the streets. Rachel Recchia fights back against the TikTok that Nick Viall made after the podcast he did with Greg Grippo, basically saying that
The old podcast.
Rachel was just performing and that she didn't like Avon and she was disingenuous the way she...
So Nick calls out Rachel, and Rachel says, all you're doing here is encouraging a space to kick me when I'm down based on assumptions. And Nick said, I'm sorry you're down. I definitely can relate, but part of the show is the opportunity to discuss what we see. The people we have a chance, whatever. I can't read that far. The point being is that he's like, just come on the show and explain your side. It's one of those like bait people into doing the show, print more money, rinse and repeat. Not a bad business model for Nick. Again, I totally get it. I totally understand what's happening here. But what's interesting is what's spilling into the comment section. So this KB commenter says regarding his interview, because look, it's good that we've got a populace that's saying, all right, this doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. People are just saying, hey, part of this doesn't add up. And it's just like one of those, well, because it's murky at best. The questionable part of the timeline is the name calling in couples therapy. Johnny called her a C, but Victoria states in the podcast that he called her that directly before she went to LA for the birthday party. So if the relationship was over in her mind heart, then why go to couples therapy after the trip to LA? That makes sense as to why Johnny thought they were working on things. Mixed signals isn't a form of transparency. The toxicity is firm in the memory bank, yet she and Greg aren't 100% certain how they began. Victoria called him, but can't fully remember what she said, and that was barely 8 weeks ago. Oh well, wishing happiness for all. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't wish any hate or ill will on anybody. Just repeating what we say every day. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's all it is. We're like, huh? We don't really get it. This doesn't really make sense. I really think the best thing for Nick was to just drop the podcast and not spill into the comment sections, because then it really just shows his bias, but that's fine too. Nick said she tried ending it several times starting in August, but he didn't want to accept that. That is an extremely relatable situation, not that hard to believe unless you simply don't want to. And that's at the point where we got Johnny's comment here, which was deleted. Or it's missing. I'm sorry, if it's still out there, Instagram can be glitchy. It wasn't on my end. I scoured for it. But Johnny says, I appreciate you speaking for me, Nick. Glad y'all got your facts straight. So clearly Johnny disagrees with Nick's. And what's so weird, imagine dating someone and then another person who wasn't even in the relationship tries to tell you what happened. That's where Johnny's at. And it's almost like Nick's sort of trying to provoke Johnny. He's trying to smoke him out of his den, right? Say, all right, well, come on the podcast, share your side. I wonder if Johnny would. I personally don't think it's the appropriate medium for him. Unless he's paid, because it's like, don't give someone else, write it in a book. Sell a book, make some money off of your story. You know what I mean? Don't let accounts like me or Nick or these other accounts make all the money off your story. Go out there and get it. Put it on a Patreon and make people pay $5 for it. So Nikki said to Nick, you could just not defend people who aren't defensible. You don't have to ardently defend everything your friends do. You only hurt your own character by doing so in this case. It's kind of like how everyone was defending Kanye West, and then Kanye West went really off the deep end, who's now been kicked off Twitter. And a lot of people that were defending Kanye West are now like, okay, well, maybe he took it a little too far. And it's like, I'm not comparing Victoria to Kanye West. I'm saying the scenario where you defend someone through their flaws. It's good to defend your friends. It's good to keep your friends, but sometimes your friends mess up. And clearly this was dodgy at best. All right, let's get into it. Here's what Johnny had to say. He did a what y'all want to know. And imagine if everyone's like, oh, I don't know what the score of the Sixers game is. I don't know, Johnny. We want to know the dang timeline. So he posts here. Someone says, "Are you single? Are you single?" Asking for a friend, and of course that was Logan asking for a friend. How many kids do you want? He said, "When the time's right, a bunch. I want a big family." Looks like Johnny has the same shoes that Nick has. They're both Converse fans. Big Chuck energy. How'd you feel about that interview? And he said, what interview? Oh, I don't know, the Barbara Walters interview with Britney Spears. Well, yeah, of course we know what interview. What would you go on the Viall files to tell your side? He says, I don't know. If I learned one thing from Bachelor in Paradise, the math isn't adding up. # Geometry Beach. Yeah, I know he's not allowed to make merchandise and profit off the show, but like a Geometry Beach protractor with like a little crab or something would be great merchandise. So here's a rap that he made for Bachelor in Paradise that they never aired. You tell me if you think this is as good as I think it is.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Hit it. Yo. What? Here we go, Johnny.
It started off cute, playing games and shit. They even had me in the onesie making drinks and shit. Then she took.
Can we listen to that one more time? I think we need to appreciate that one more time. This is really good. Johnny should be doing this for every recap. I never want to hear Johnny speak again if it's not in lyrical rap format.
Like this one I got.
5, 6, 7,
It
8.
goes hopped out of limo in an all black suit. Season 19, two girls, they threw me for a loop. They started off cute, playing games and shit. They even had me in a onesie making drinks and shit.
Then Victoria goes on a podcast with Nick Viall, and then he says, that's not the story, y'all. Okay, I'm not, hey, I'll stay in my lane. Stay in your lane, Dave. What's my lane? Bad rapping and political takes. So there he is, and there he is dancing. Oh, and now he's in his own robe there. I don't know if that's a dig at Nick's new robe company. Either Johnny takes the subtlest digs or we're reading too far into things. I'm not sure which one we're at. Either way, that's the story, folks. That's where we're at. So let me know what you guys think. And again, if you want to check out my third video of the day, I'm giving it to subscribers only. All right, I'm taking a hard line. If you've listened to 10 episodes and you haven't subscribed, and on you, folks, we need to see who's a real one out there. All right. More from Johnny we'll have to see, but this is getting pretty ugly. All right, folks, we'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye now.